What's going on, everybody? Shiraz Ahmed here. Now, in the past, I've actually done some videos on the psychological effects of investing, like biases that people might have when it comes to investing. Now, today we're going to talk about another investment psychological topic. It's known as sudden wealth syndrome. Is an interesting phenomenon that can actually negatively affect people who suddenly come into large sums of money. Now, stay tuned to find out why winning the lottery or hitting it big on crypto can sometimes actually ruin people's lives. So stay tuned. All right, welcome back, everybody. So I'm sure everyone watching this has at some point, perhaps even while sitting at work or pouring your fourth cup of coffee, fantasized about what winning the lottery or discovering that you had some rich, distant relative who left you an absolute fortune would be like. For example, in the movie Brewster's Millions, that was one of my favorites growing up. Now, the funny thing about getting what you want, though, it's not always what you expect. In fact, this sudden influx of wealth can have serious negative effects on some people. Now, this problem has become common enough that it actually has a name known as sudden wealth syndrome. Now, I know what you must be thinking, sounds like a good problem to have, right? Well, unfortunately, this sudden change can cause a major crisis of identity. Now, people who transition from, let's say, a working class lifestyle or unfortunately living paycheck to paycheck may feel a bit like an imposter, and that this is only a matter of time until somebody notices or they end up back where they feel that they naturally belong. The effect this feeling can have on people is actually quite staggering. Of course, there's the initial shock due to the unexpected nature of the new fortune, but some people also start to feel isolated from former relationships. Some because they feel guilty, and others because they start to develop this unhealthy and irrational fear of losing their new fortune. Now, the term sudden wealth syndrome, or SWS, initially coined in the 90s by wealth psychologist Stephen Goldbart, who co-founded the Money, Meaning, and Choice Institute in California. Now, it's not an official psychological diagnosis, and there is no medicinal treatment for this, but to diagnose and treat sudden wealth syndrome, a clinician will look at things like a patient's current emotions and behaviors, as well as their socioeconomic status, and even their childhood relationships with money. To see how common this problem can be, let's take a look at the world of the NFL. Now, most of the guys playing today are making much more than 99% of the population. Some of them are actually making millions of dollars per year. Now, despite this extremely high income, 78% of retired football players were in serious financial distress just 2 years after retirement, according to Sports Illustrated magazine. Now, upwards of 15.7 of them filed for bankruptcy within 12 years of retirement. Now, looking at the numbers, which can actually sometimes differ depending on which you're reading or which source you're reading, there's actually no way that this should be the case. So really, what is going on here? Now, the vast majority of these players typically do not come from a background of either being rich or privileged. In fact, it's actually typically quite the opposite. Then suddenly, while still typically teenagers, they end up being paid well in excess of $1 million US per year, when everyone that they know is basically barely making ends meet. Now, it's no wonder that they sometimes feel something similar to survivor's guilt. Why them? Why not one of their friends or family? Suddenly, there's this huge weight that's on their shoulders, and they're simply not prepared for it. Now, obviously, no one plans for a cash surprise, but there are things that people can do to either try to prepare for or deal with the psychological issues that can come from winning or receiving a large sum of money. So what exactly do psychologists and financial professionals actually suggest that you do? Now, of course, not everything can be planned for, nor should you necessarily plan that you're going to win the lottery or get a big inheritance. But some things you can actually do. Now, let's take the example of the Brewster's Millions movie, where a rich, unknown family member left you an absolutely massive inheritance. Well, if you're planning to leave that kind of money to somebody, let's say, it's probably better for you to prepare them for that. Now, one way you can do that is to introduce them to, let's say, your accountant or your lawyer or your financial advisor, and the people whose expertise and advice they'll need, frankly, if they want to make sure that this money will last them over the course of their life. Tools like trusts or annuities actually exist for a reason, and it's best to discuss all these options with those same professionals. Now, psychological and financial professionals have a few other suggestions on how to handle the stress that comes with this new money. One great suggestion is to actually keep the winnings as discreet as possible. Once people find out about your new wealth, they may start to treat you a bit differently or expect more from you. For example, gifts, loans, or handouts, and whatnot. The next one is actually kind of surprising. The advice that's commonly given on what to do first is nothing. Now, people who come into money feel that they immediately need to start, for example, paying off debts or investing or buying extravagant gifts for their family. They suggest actually waiting months, sometimes even a full year, before making any major changes to your lifestyle. You'll typically want to talk to an accountant since taxes frankly wait for nobody. But beyond that, really, what is the rush? Now, when you're ready, the next step is to speak with a financial professional. Figure out what is the goal. Now, money is simply a means to an end, and it's actually their job to help you get to wherever your end value would be. But ultimately, it's your responsibility and your job to figure out where exactly there is. Well, thank you for staying to the end and watching another video. If there are other topic ideas that you'd like me to cover, I'm going to put my contact information at the end of this video. Also, I do appreciate all the support from all of you viewers out there. If you appreciate the content that I've been creating, please consider hitting that like and subscribe button, as it really does help out the channel. Until next time, please stay safe out there, you guys. All the best. Bye for now.